The best way to educate yourself about free speech is to study the Constitution. The text of the First Amendment, of course, is the place to begin. Congress shall make no law respecting speech in the press. And then dig into the history that gave rise to those beautiful words and learn about Jefferson and Madison and their view that speech could only be banned if it was intended to and likely to cause imminent violence. Study the Supreme Court cases that, at least since the 1960s, have embraced that principle, and then make up your own mind, if you're a student or a citizen, about whether you think the Supreme Court has drawn the line in the right direction or if you think the balance should be changed. When the framers talked about civic virtue, they had in mind self-mastery. It was what Jefferson talked about when he talked about the pursuit of happiness. And self-mastery really meant self-education, the discipline to take the time to master your passions like anger and jealousy, and to read deeply, to cultivate your faculties of reason. So the greatest way of expressing civic virtue is through civic education, in particular self-education. Just learn about history, literature, science, any discipline that will allow you to cultivate your faculties of reason, and choose to do that rather than surf the internet and watch cat videos. That would be the modern version of the founder's civic virtue. So that's what we need to do as a society. Well, the future of Facebook and Twitter and Google in terms of free speech is the great free speech question facing our age. And Facebook and Google and Twitter are private companies, so they're not formally bound by the First Amendment, which says Congress shall make no law. It doesn't say Twitter shall make no law. There may be pressure on the companies to regulate, and Europe is already regulating the companies heavily. In America, we're more suspicious of regulating the private companies, so we won't necessarily see congressional action on this point, although there could be. But the companies must decide how to deal with a world in which they have more power over free speech than any king or president and Supreme Court justice, and their answer to that question will determine who can speak and who can be heard in the 21st century.